It is Brianetic Sports. My name is Brian, and I really want to thank you so much for being part of this interesting page. And of course, as we show you and showcase the latest news coming in from the sporting circles, I really want to thank you so much for being part of this page, contributing to the page, subscribing, sharing, as well as commenting. And today, of course, it's going to be a little bit more of talking about the teams that have, of course, qualified for the African Cup of Nations 2027. A lot of you have come out. I've seen comments and people saying, why are you talking about Kenya that has not qualified? And you leave alone the two teams that have really done wonders. And of course, this is coming in from, especially it's coming in from people from Tanzania that are not happy with a few things that we talk about here. But it's an opinion world, so I'm entitled to my own opinion. A lot of you are commenting. I've seen a few that are talking about me not traveling, not coming to those countries and seeing exactly what is happening. That also has a time. So I'll be letting you know of the new developments. But I have to tell you that Kenyan did qualify for the African Cup of Nations 2025. It's not a sin to not qualify. Yes, they are going to go back to the drawing board. They will be coming back with a statement. They'll be trying to make things right, and we'll see how they really will be building up to the 2027. I even saw some people coming out and saying that they don't even have a right to be part of the co-hosts for the African Cup of Nations 2027. And a gentleman came out and made fun of Kenya and said that they might even miss out on 2027. No, they can't miss out on 2027. They're automatically qualifying, and they are going to be part of the teams that are going to be qualifying in there. But looking at Uganda qualifying in the group that was not so much of a tough group, you should say, but it does not matter what group you are on, whether it's tough or not. All you need is to win your games. They beat Congo Brazzaville away in the last game. They managed to win against Southern Sudan. They drew with South Africa. They were beaten by South Africa. So there are mixed results in there. And of course, power put. One of the things that we need to really look at as a nation in order for us to get better is to build a little bit of a consistent team play. He needs to really learn the dynamics of the team. He really needs to have them have a style of play. I don't think we have an identity as a nation. Yes, we won the games, but there's something that is lacking. You could give it to him and say, maybe it is still a team in progress. One of the few things that I think the Federation of Uganda Football did is not only to give him the job of really coaching the national team, but alongside him, his assistant, Mr. Sam Simbwa, to me, is a gentleman that knows always very vast with local football. So one of the things that they did is to add someone who knows the local game. Paul Put has experience on Africa elsewhere with a lot of teams that he has coached and are doing wonders. I don't want to go so much into the details of what he has done on the African scene. But as a nation like Uganda, you need someone who comes in and understands your team. Just like I told you, Bernard Lama was going to be doing that is in Kenya before he was, of course, he resigned. Then Morocco as well in Tanzania. He's really done wonders and tried to study the game, the local game. And that is how the success has come as a nation. Uganda really needs to work on that, the type of system that we need to adopt as a team. But I think Mr. Sam Simbwa, using the local talent and using the scouting, exposure that he has really been exposed to, the things that he has helped the team contribute, of course, with who is supposed to be one of the best players, or who is supposed to be as a player, a local one in the local league, who is supposed to be picked. Yes, Paul Put can watch them, but Sam Simba understands the players a little bit more because he has gone through the systems, he has gone through the local league, and he gives the ideas of what player can really be so much important. The likes of Mike Mutiaba have really developed through the system. The Okello of this world, Alan Okello, they are youngsters that we can build for 2027, but also the experience of the other players, the Davis Mugabes of this world, who can come in and do something to this team. So there are a lot of dynamics that I think really a blend of a local coach as well as international coach have been very instrumental in Uganda qualifying. Then on the other thing, the government itself, the federation itself have really done so much. I think in all the nations of East Africa, FUFA is one of the most persistent federations that you can ever find. I'm not saying they are the most persistent, but it is one of the most persistent. Mr. Ingiamos Magogo, he has really been under the back pages of a lot of newspapers of talking about fraud and all that stuff. But he has managed to really work on the institutionalizing of his federation structures, looking at development of the game, using, of course, the FIFA, the FIFA, the FIFA the FIFA programs that have been really been put forward for him. Most of them are free, most of them are donations, most of them are grants, and everything, of course, even in the infrastructure development, having the Ngeru Technical Center being developed a little bit more from where Lawrence Mulindwa left. Then also having the Kadiba Stadium being one of the few now training grounds that will be used for the African Cup of Nations, and maybe even in Chan. I don't know whether it will be early for Chan, but late for Chan, but I don't know exactly what will be happening in there. But the issue is there's infrastructure development and teams as well, structuralizing the teams. Now we already have at least most of the teams that are playing in the CAF sanctioned tournaments. They have a requirement of having ladies teams, and all the other teams around are being told to have ladies teams that are being, of course, grown in their underage teams as well. So there's a lot that has worked for Mr. Moses Magogo using FUFA as an institution that is also generating money, doing the Janzi. If you've watched Uganda Cranes, you can see there's a Janzi brand in there. It is a brand that is co-owned by FUFA. So it's something that really does the training kits and all that stuff. They are producing balls for us and all the other things that are coming in. So FUFA as an entity is really generating some small money and also professionalizing the games with statistics and all that stuff. There's a lot that is happening on the local scene. When you compare to a country like Tanzania, they've also made strides in there. The success that has come to their national team is not something that you can take for granted. They've done it on the grassroots. They've developed the local league, which really, to me, if you've never watched the Tanzanian Premier League, then you don't know what really development of the game from the grassroots is. A match day in Tanzania, for example, for a maybe Simba or Young, takes like 2 or 3 weeks in build-up. The final week really is one of the most serious ones. They have press conferences, they have media going out and talking to different people. They even go to the level of talking to people in markets, those local people, because it is a community derby. So it involves everyone. Everyone is really filled up before the real game. That is why you see when we have a game in the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium between those two teams, you'll have a lot of fans coming in there. So there's a lot that has been done in the grassroots, including the media. Azam, one of the media, is in there really doing a great job. And of course, their money, the monies that they really impart into there, the way they give the professionalism of the game. We also have people from here in Uganda that goes away to Tanzania to do broadcasting games in that. So there's a lot really that has happened on the grassroots. And also the government itself with the president coming in and also doing something to do with whenever she's referring to football. Whenever she's referring to institutions, she keeps on talking about football and shows how much she's willing to really invest in there. And of course the infrastructure development that includes all the stadia that has been there. A lot of small stadiums have been constructed in there. So there's a lot in the game of Tanzania that has really helped even the youth football as well. You remember, if you've been watching the Sekafa underage tournaments recently, the games that were in Zanzibar, Tanzania coming out and beating Uganda in there, the growth of the youngsters in there looking good every single day. To me, I think that is where the success of the national team comes from. It is a joint effort. With Kenya, I think the problem comes in with the federation. Of course, a lot of issues. Some gentleman was coming out and saying that internally they have their own issues. So let us just give them a break and try to understand where they come from. That is where, yes, there is embezzlement in all there's corruption in all these countries, but the rate at which it is and the rate at which the wars are fought, to me, is something. Usually a country like Uganda, when the election is done, the fighting stops. And the comments will come in, but the fighting stops. Then we have those years of working, and then when the next election for who is going to be the president of the federation comes in, then that is where you see the politics come in, which is not the case. In Kenya, they are fighting. So that is how these two teams have managed really to go all the way. and compete and get to the level whereby now they are going to be representing that is East Africa in the next coming African Cup of Nations in Morocco 2025. The question would be, what are the expectations of Somalia? And I got to know that now, according to Coach Morocco from Tanzania, he came out and one of the things that he earmarked as the way, of course, Tanzania should be looking at is going all the way and exceeding the group stages, of course, going away from the group stages and all the way to the knockout stages. That is where he's looking at as a coach, and that is what he is expecting. And of course, that is a realistic it's a realistic ambition. Uganda, we've not gone through the group stages for a very long time, so we also need to work on that. Paul really needs to work on that. So all in all, it has been a joint effort for the federations that are in those two countries, but also the work also of the specific players in there. Like I always say that when I start rating countries in East Africa, a lot of people will rate Tanzania and Kenya ahead of Uganda, but on the pitch itself, Uganda has produced a little bit more of the specific good results that really even lead them for so many years to be on top of the rankings. Despite the fact that now Tanzania and its clubs, the Simba and Yanga, are doing much better on the club level, really going all the way even to the finals, having clubs going all the way to the finals. So yes, those are the dynamics of the game that really we need to also really look at. Then there is also I think the KTJT. I think I'll just confirm my I think it's JT, the team from the ladies team from Tanzania, being number 6 in Africa and also doing very well. Even on the underage tournaments, Tanzania qualifying for in the women's game, qualifying for the World Cup, something that really was very important. I think they even drew with Canada. They beat countries like they beat countries in there that are serious countries. I'm just remembering a few things, and I'm really seeing how the game is developing in Tanzania on a big level. Yes, the national team also developing, having professionals like Semata coming out and competing in some of the biggest leagues out there. If you really watch the Premier League, you would notice that he's one of the players that has played for has competed for Aston Villa all the way in the Premier League, and also adding to the number of the players that have been there. There's a lot that has really happened behind the scenes. And you watch their league and you watch the way they build up to their league, and you would think it's Sky Sports. They do a thorough ground work. They do a 360 approach to the media. They go to all the key sectors in the individual life of any fan, and then they really bring out all that. They really will put it on table. They will talk to everyone. They will make everyone involved. And by the time you get to the match day, it is really very essential and very sensational in there. And some of the things I can say, the achievements that Tanzania has managed to get, of course, kind of like hosting the first edition of the African League, Football League, where they hosted Al Ahly in there. That is the 60,000 capacity seat at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium. That is also something that created recognition, having the likes of Arsene Wenger coming into the country, the FIFA president coming into the country. So it is really something that has created kind of like an atmosphere of recognition as well as growth of the game. And some of the other things that I can also talk about is Tanzania itself. When you look at them representing us in the previous East Africa, I'm saying in the previous African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire, it is also something that really gave them a space really for us to there. Then the other thing is also involvement of the other sectors in the game, including music as well, because now you all know that musicians like Diamond Platinum are very big on Africa. Them coming out and of course getting into this whole football frenzy and the football fever, and doing that is also something that I've also seen has helped them grow. There's also I've seen even songs dedicated to Mr. Mbwama Samata, who really competed so much for the African Player of the Year. You remember in 2016 is one of the few names that really were doing very well in there. And of course, there's a lot. Currently, I think is in Powak FC, something like that. But there is a lot of 360 approach to the game. Not only is it the federation, but also the other sectors, including government and all the other people in there. So the success has been, coming slowly by slowly, especially in Tanzania. In Uganda, I should say, a persistence as well. And then we are we are gifted a little bit by God. Not saying gifted in talent, but we are gifted by God. Somehow, Uganda finds itself in the headlines, even when they've not even worked for. Sometimes they don't work for it. But in football, I should say I've seen the growth of football from day one, beginning from the likes of Lawrence Mulindwa, then going all the way to now Ingia Moses Magogo, and the efforts that have been put on. There is something that really has been put in, and you could really respect the fact that that is the reason why we are here and celebrating this interesting that is a contribution in there. So congratulations to Uganda and Tanzania, and of course the other counterparts. Kenya, we believe that it is a step back, but it's not never again. It's going to be a build up. It's going to be something that they need to work on, and they work on. The infrastructure is growing up. Everything is growing up. In Tanzania as well, they've been facing challenges over vandalism, especially in the new stadiums that are being built. I got to know last like 2 weeks, vandalism, people coming in, not stadiums, but the SDR, the standard gauge railway, that is also an issue, because now if you're creating good things like infrastructure, like the standard gauge way, and people coming out and cutting those lines, those electric lines, and doing a lot of vandalism in there, to me, that is something that needs to be worked on, especially when it comes to organizing such a big tournaments. Big tournament security is an issue. Security should be worked on. That is not the case. It's not only in Tanzania, but we also have it in Uganda here and Kenya as well. So it is something that we need to address, because if we build something and then someone spoils it, then it's something that we need to fight. Uganda will be launching its SDR, or standard gauge railway construction, soon in the next coming weeks. So I'll be letting you as well know what is happening, especially in infrastructure development. Thank you so much for being part of Brinetic Sports. My name is Brian, and that is what I had for you today. Stay safe and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.